Hey folks, today we will be looking into SHARE, which is Mount Allison's Sexual Violence Prevention and Response Policy. Sexual violence is a very sensitive matter to respond to, and as such, if the time comes to deal with such a situation, you should be prepared with all the right tools. The goal of this presentation is to prepare you with the needed tools when a resident does disclose this information to you. So it is important that you know the procedure, understand the larger systems that add to this unsafe culture where sexual violence occurs, and moreover feel empowered to make your residence a safer place for everyone, as well as take good care of yourself before and after supporting anyone else. Before we delve into the nitty-gritty of it all, it's important that you understand basic terminology associated with the topic. It is compulsory that you look at the associate document for the complete definitions so that you're fully aware of what each term entails. Consent is the voluntary, direct, conscious agreement that must occur without any pressure or deception to engage in any kind of physical or sexual activity. It is important that you always ask for permission from someone when engaging in such activities and receive a clear yes. So when the time comes for those orientation events hosted by residences like t-shirt signing, make sure consent is something you explain to your residents. Disclosure is when someone informs a university official that they or someone they know has experienced sexual violence. This could even mean them asking you for services and support available for them to use. If someone is disclosing sensitive information like this to you, it is important that you keep it confidential and share it with only the appropriate people. This is not something for you to share with the rest of the team, alright? Sexual assault is any kind of sexual contact that occurs without consent. This includes unwanted kissing, fondling, oral or anal sex, intercourse, or any other form of penetration. Sexual harassment can be any vexatious, meaning distressing, comment or conduct which causes humiliation and is offensive or abusive to the recipient because of their sex, gender, or sexual orientation. It can even be a more general thing which would create a hostile environment for people of a given sex, gender, or sexual orientation. Sexual violence is any violence, physical or psychological, carried out through sexual means or by targeting someone's sexuality. This could be sexual harassment, sexual assault, stalking, degrading sexual imagery, and these are just a few of them. A survivor is someone who has experienced sexual violence and identifies themselves with this term as a way of empowerment, strength, and healing. There are two more terms or concepts, that I would like to touch on today as well, and that is rape culture and sexual consent. Rape culture refers to the trivialization, normalization, and further justification of sexual violence, especially against marginalized individuals in society. Many people working in this field use this term to better understand sexual violence as a systemic, societal problem and not just an individualized problem. This concept shows us how seemingly small, normalized things like rape jokes, sexually explicit advertisements, or representation of sexual violence in video games or movies contribute to an overall culture that puts women, indigenous people, people with disabilities, or queer people at a greater risk of experiencing sexual violence. There are links that you should be exploring in the documents provided as well. They will push you to keep an eye out for examples of rape culture that you observe around you. Now, rape culture has three levels. There's attitudinal, which includes sexism, racism, homophobia, transphobia. There's verbal or non-contact behaviors such as harassment, cyber harassment, coercion, things that really puts a lot of pressure on people. And then there's physical, rape, physical abuse, and unfortunately murder in some cases. The attitudinal form gives the basis for all other forms and is also most easily addressed through proactive education and campaigns. Now, the next term I wanted to discuss is sexual consent. Sexual consent is an enthusiastic consent to sex free from any pressure or coercion. We have included two short video links which delve into exactly why this concept is important and how it works. So now that we have covered the basic terminology, let's speak about what SHARE exactly is. SHARE is a trauma-informed, confidential, survivor-centered service in the Wellness Center. SHARE can provide you with information, referrals, support, and guidance for members of the Mount Allison community who have experienced sexual violence, such as sexual assault, cyber harassment, stalking, or cyber misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, intimate partner violence or abuse, sexual harassment, or sex and gender-based discrimination. If a survivor does come to you, take a deep breath. And it may feel overwhelming, and that is why you can contact SHARE. But when dealing with the survivor in the moment, there are a few steps to making this interaction welcoming and caring. Firstly, believe them if they disclose a sexual assault to you. Questioning, challenging, or even forcing someone to tell you more about an incident when they're feeling unsafe, vulnerable, are some of the worst things you can do to help someone experiencing sexual trauma. Tell the survivor that sexual assault is not their fault, and reassure them that their disclosure will remain confidential and that nothing will happen, no referrals, nothing will happen without their permission, and that their disclosure is confidential. The only exception to this is if someone is in immediate danger, in which case you would call 911 straight away. Also, everyone is going to react differently after sexual assault, so it's important that you validate whatever they are feeling or expressing. While many survivors of sexual violence may feel shame, anger, sadness, things like that, there's no guarantee that every survivor will behave the way you expect. You should also avoid victim blaming. Instead of asking the survivor things like, where were you? What were you wearing? How much did you drink? Ask the survivor how you can best help and support them. Remember to make it clear that you believe them. And in the end, you should provide them with the resources that will help them take the next steps. If someone wishes to report an offense, SHARE provides 3 different supports: informal, formal, and referral to community resources. I have summarized the procedures here, but you need to take a look at the step-by-step in the document to get the full picture. So if someone wishes to report an incident, they can take 2 paths. In both cases, the first 2 steps are the same. The student would meet with the SHARE advisor, and the survivor can be accompanied by a support person, such as an RA or a friend, ideally someone who was not a witness. After which, the advisor and survivor would work together to identify the offense, and if the survivor gives permission, a case team could be set up so that they can get professional support that they may need. In some cases, sexual violence outreach worker from the community will be contacted as well for this team. The separation in the procedure occurs when the student chooses whether they want to continue with the informal or formal procedure. If the survivor asks for an informal path to a resolution with the survivor and the people accused, then the SHARE advisor would meet with the person that was accused and let them know about the disclosure that was made and also get their statement. After which, the advisor and survivor will meet again to decide on a resolution and later meet with the respondent to get an agreement on the solution. Everyone involved will be provided counseling or supports that they may need, and if someone ends up getting involved in the situation, other people, like a lot of other people, such as friends, housemates, resident staff, a debrief session will be offered to process what has happened and discuss potential prevention strategies for the future. This will only occur, though, if the survivor has given permission for it to occur. A formal procedure is just that, more formal, where an investigation will take place and an outcome will be determined by a university official, which can also be appealed by the accused. If the survivor wants formal action to be taken with an outcome based on balance of probabilities that the offense took place, the SHARE advisor will meet the person that has been accused to let them know about the complaint and how this procedure would play out. An investigation will have to occur in this procedure where investigators will meet with the survivor, accused, and any witnesses to get their statement and gather and weigh the evidence. This will all be put into an investigative report, and a determination of consequences will be made by a university official. After the investigation has taken place, the SHARE advisor will meet each of the survivor and the accused to deliver the determination and consequences. And a criteria for appeal will also be given to the survivor and accused. Everyone would once again be offered counseling and support. And once again, if many people do get involved, a debrief session will occur if the survivor gives the permission. If a formal complaint is submitted and it seems to be an overall residence complaint, then SHARE might provide active or passive education resources to that house. The survivor and accused will also be informed that this is going to take place. SHARE works with community services to create a community coordinated response, standing for CCR, after sexual violence. This way, SHARE can help students by booking appointments for them, for medical reasons, with the RCMP, for counseling, for human rights, and much, much more. Students are also able to use community resources at the same time as they receive services or pursue a procedure within the Mount Allison system. So for example, if a student reports a crime to police, they can still pursue a formal process on campus at the same time if they wanted. Understanding sexual violence is an ongoing process. A lifetime of work in this area is still never enough to know it all. While it may not seem obvious to some, sexual violence is linked to sexism, racism, queer and trans antagonism, albinism, and all other forms of marginalization in society. So SHARE strongly encourages you to do more research on this to be properly prepared and empowered to address sexual violence on campus and in the world. Today's last topic will be active bystander, because after all that you have learned on how to be a good support, our hope is that you actively deal with the situation rather than passively stand by. When you passively stand by to a situation saying that it's not your business or someone else will deal with it, you end up supporting a harmful act and behavior, thereby perpetuating a system that allows violence, discrimination, and suffering. However, you can choose to be an active bystander, someone that witnesses an act that is harmful, such as name-calling, derogatory joke-telling, rumors, property damage, or physical violence, or something that is potentially harm, such as hitting on someone who's too drunk or otherwise incapacitated to consent. And as an active bystander, you do something about it. It is important that you act early, as it de-escalates the situation earlier, which is safer for everyone. When you take action, it positively impacts not only the people experiencing the harm, but also those committing a harmful act, because you would have just educated them on something. It also helps to give others the confidence to speak up and act fearlessly. This way, you end up contributing to a community where people care about each other and support a culture that values healthy relationships and offers help when needed. When most people think about standing up in these situations, they imagine this grand gesture or heroic act. The truth is, the smallest thing in the world can make a big difference. When it comes to standing up for yourself, you can speak up if you don't feel respected or heard, or ask for help when you need it. When it comes for standing up for other people, help a friend in need, take the time for a thoughtful gesture, or intervene if you see someone being mistreated. For the campus community, you can speak out if you witness injustice instead of just staying silent or walking away. You can counteract any negative stereotypes through your words and actions, and report incidents you witness, even if they don't seem major. Standing up can be difficult, but also rewarding. And the good news is you can ask others to help, and you don't need to do it perfectly. Often taking any sort of action, even if your voice is shaky and the words aren't coming out right, it's more effective and far more preferable to remaining silent. So that is all for the SHARE presentation today. Please make sure that you are looking through the document. I may not have mentioned on every slide that there is an associated resource or information for you to look at. So please make sure you are reading that and answering the questions related to the presentation. I hope you have a great day.